Hello. We've just taken a lovely delivery of these Packington free-range pigs. Mike's going to tackle one and I'm going to tackle the other.
Hello.
The guys are cracking on. We've got a versus this evening, so they're cracking on with the prep for that. So we're going to get these processed away. We're going to go through how we're going to basically break it down. I'm not a butcher. You know, this is how I'll do it for the restaurant. I'm sure people will chime in or give advice, which is fantastic, on about how we do it better, you know, but this is how we're going to treat this pig, and we're going to try and use everything we can. So first of all, we shall take the legs off, and a good guide with any animal is kind of keep it standard, keep it regular. So when we come to cut the shoulders, we'll cut the shoulders in line with the elbow, and that's always going to be the same on the animal. So we're going to do the same thing with the legs at the back. So we're going to just move the leg. We're going to see where it comes in here. We're just going to cut down there. So we know we're never going to go too far into the loin. So just going to score down behind the legs first of all, onto the spine. Let the saw do the work, as the old man used to say. So we're through there, and then we're just cutting through these legs over here. Take the head off first, and then we'll go on taking the shoulders off. Good comment that I had before when we were doing the lambs is to keep making sure that whenever you're using the saw, clean the saw down, bone dust, which is always a good tip, so thanks for that one. I'm going to score it. And then off. I think that's the weirdest part of butchering whole beasts is when you take the head off. Still, I know it's dead and it's gone through the process and it's been very well looked after because we know the farm, one of the owners, Alec and Rob Mercer from Packington, did a fantastic job. But still, for me, that cut is always the most difficult. Okay, and then straight down. Try and get a nice clean cut into the loin. Through. So you're catching that shoulder blade, so you haven't gone too far into the loin and missed that shoulder blade. So we'll get this out of the way. Right, so what we need to do now is decide how we're going to break down the middle of the pig, depending on the uses. And so you could just take this whole thing, whole loin, roast it, carve down, amazing. But we need to be a bit smarter with that because utilise as much as we can and get secondary cuts going with the primary cut and things like this. So beautiful, beautiful kidneys. I love offal as well, so chef snack really. Kidney. So when they've slaughtered these animals, if you've scored the kidney to make sure there's no infection. So these are all good. Lovely, lovely colour. And then we're just going to come down the inside of the spine and take out these pencil fillets. And once you've kind of done, you know, lamb, pork, it's very similar, beef, mini fillet, or the fillet, tenderloin, pencil fillet, all different names, but essentially coming from the same place. So I'm just going to take this one out. And again, cut where you need to cut, but also you can just kind of pull away from the fat and cut if you don't need to cut. That's the pencil fillet in there. So these are just coming up to 60 kilo pigs, so it's a nice size. Tenderloins are out. I'm just going to open the chest plate here, just so we can have more access to it. Take it out. What are you saying, Mike? How many are we going in?
3, 4.
3, 4, 2, 3.
Or do you want to go higher up than that?
Could just get more belly for now. 6 up. See, a butcher just does it 30 seconds. All right, they're having that. Belly's coming off, this happening, but we want to be making sure we are utilising everything. So a bit of time now will save us a lot of messing around in the long run. So 6, go 6. 1, 2. We're just going to avoid going through the loin on this side. We're going to score up and come through there And then when we come over, where we've scored, we're gonna, again, cut through the skin, and cut down, and then we can use this part with the belly, use the loin, any kind of way you want to use it in the restaurant. And then up here, we've got larger pieces of meat, which we can cut and leave the ribs on the bone. We've got all that meat on the bone up here, which we can cut down for sharer. And it's just more options really, rather than just taking it all down to loin, it's the same. Especially if you want to kind of use a bit of, you know, rib with loin, or you want to use belly and loin, you've got all those options. You can break it down for the dish, rather than just having loads of loin or just all belly. So I guess we'll just mark across the entire thing, cut again.
Yeah, I've just scored in. I'm just going to go straight through.
Yeah. The butcher's watching me like, you don't do it like that. You don't do it like that. Get through the spine. Right up onto the meat. But which way, if people think that, you know, you haven't done a certain cut the right way, we make sausages, we can use the trim, we can braise it. Like, there's never going to be any waste. We're never going to have any waste. So look at that there. So you got the lovely eye of the loin on the ribs. So we can cut these back, braise this as well, but we can use these lovely cuts of loin on the ribs. We can cook them on the ribs. We've got all that meat down there, crisp it all up in the oven on a Sunday roast or something. Or you can French trim it down, you cut down there, clean all the bones up. It's lovely presented as a four. You've got the bones coming from the pork, and we can do all the usual suspects for condiments and serving as well, which is great. So now we have to deal with this lovely piece here. One cut through the skin and then drop down onto the spine. This is the prime piece of belly here. The loin on top of that. You cut down, take that loin off, and then you just got the pure loin meat, which is very lean, not a lot of fat on it. So again, you're just cutting where you need to cut. You don't need to be cutting everything.
I'm just leaving this section of loin on the bone, but I'm just cutting through the belly ribs. Just take that piece of belly off separately. Essentially, you've got your rack there on the bone. Needs a little bit of trimming up. Right,
so top end, shoulders, those are staying nice and close to the bone, all the way off. And then when it's lying down, we can take the piece out you want to take off and then kind of treat them separately. So as simple as it is, we're just going to follow the top of the rib cage down here. And as long as you follow the bone, you can't go too far wrong, because the bone is stopping you from making any mistakes. Shoulders come off here, you see the shoulder blade there, and you've got this lovely copper top of the neck almost. And then we are out of there. So we can use this. We'll get rid of all the blood, wash it all off. We can roast this down, chop it down, sauce, flake it down, any leftover bits of meat on there, that'll flake off with braise. So we've got two shoulders. So we can remove this really close to the shoulder, take all this off, bring that down together as a copper. And then you've also got the shoulders. We can braise that whole and then flake all the meat down from that as well. So there's two options on this one here. Got this. So we're going to leave this as it is. Maybe cut this down to remove some of these ribs here. This can be braised, this can be roasted. We've got, again, a lovely eye of meat. We can braise the head. We use the pig head terrine. If it wasn't used for terrine, it's only what goes into sausages anyway, so people are scared of using the head meat. It's all to be used, to be honest. So you've got the temple, you've got the top of the meat across the top of the snout, and then obviously the cheeks and the jowl, which will all be cooked down. We cook them overnight, nice and slow. The legs, break them down the same way as the shoulders. You take them off the hip bone, split it down. So let's go down to find the ball joint. Fiddy one. but ball joints out, and then there's a lot of meat on this leg. And if you're gonna use that as charcuterie, you leave the trotter on it, so you'd hang it through the foot. Take the trotters off. We're gonna come down here. We're gonna take the ham hock off. Through the bone. There's a joint down on the back of the leg, which is kind of a good guide to go for where you cut the hock. Maybe gone too small, but it is what it is. But you might just see I've done it too small because the size of the pig's a bit smaller. Hock, trotter, hock. That's all right. Have the belly. So lovely, nice, consistent fat covering on the belly, other than the piece underneath the loin, which we're going to use for bruschetta, for the loin. So this piece, the loin, has no skin on it. We're taking it off to leave it on the belly. So staying with the loin, we've got the top end, we're going to left those on the ribs, because I think it's a lovely thing when you have the roasted on the bone with the ribs there. Inside the carcass, you've got the tenderloin, 2 tenderloins. They need to be just cleaned up, chain removed. Kidneys, pig kidneys, shoulders. With that lump of meat here, we can take that right off. We can use this copper. I think it's one of my favourite charcuteries, to be fair. We have lots on at the moment. And then a leg. So from the leg, you can either cure as a whole piece if you have the time and the space and the right environment. We've got the trotters on the bottom, which we use for our stocks, because it's got lovely gelatinous content here. So it will give that body, the viscosity to our sauces, which we use. And then the hocks, we can smoke these, or we do smoke these and braise these down, flake the meat down for one of our side serves in the restaurant. And then the main leg, you can cut this down into different muscle groups or braise as is. Again, a lot of secondary meat, but it can all be used. I'm going to help Mark now process all the rest of the meat into how we're going to store it, and then process what we need to process. They're all the bits we use in the restaurant, and how we break down a whole pig, and how we derive different cuts for different uses. Hope you enjoyed it. Check back soon for any other videos we're doing. See you soon.